meet him and embraced him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the woman. Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And then Esau said, What do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, These are to find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, No, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face, as though I had seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please, take my blessing. So he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, Let us take our journey. Let us go, and I will go before you.
So, and running and hiding from his brother, his mother helping him lie, all of this, he still turned around and he not only became a great prophet, but he became a forefather. One of our three forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel. Even though his whole life, if we're at work, or we're at school, or wherever we are, we all know it's much easier to tell a lie, right? Right? Guys, I'm going to keep doing this until know this, then we will, if it's much easier, then we'll be scared to do otherwise. Getting yourself peace of mind that, forgive me, I know we don't do this, but peace of mind that Abuna doesn't actually know what I do. So I tell him a little bit, and I don't tell him a little bit. It didn't work for him until he finally started to repent. Joseph, the prosperous and the righteous. He wasn't always like that. So,
it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tea, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal, camels bearing spices, balm, and myrrh, on their way to carry them down to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. Listen. Then, for 20 shekels of silver, and they looked to Joseph, and they took Joseph to Egypt.
Okay, thank you. And Rita?
1 through 12.
Yes, 1 through 12, and then 19 and 20.
Now Joseph had been and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian master, saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of the house and all that he had in the field. Thus he left what he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know whether his wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused and said to his wife, committed all that he has on my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept wickedness and sin against God. So at this time, when Joseph went out into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside. So it was when his master heard his words, which his wife spoke to him, prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison.
Thanks. So, being honest with ourselves, to be seduced by a woman, not just any woman, very powerful. Joking aside, this is very hard. Okay? After a day, he must have gotten tired. But he still held strong, and God said, I will.
Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as a servant to the throne, will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt, and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried, Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without your consent no man may lift his hand or foot in all of the land of Egypt.
Can you remind me again what was after that?
It was Genesis 43, verse 1. And then Genesis 45, 1 to 5. And then
Then Joseph could not restrain himself before all those who stood by him, and he cried out, Make everyone go out from me. So no one stood with him while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. My father still lived, but his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed in his presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, Please come near to me. So they came near. Then he said, As you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. Then he sent Judah before him to Joseph to point out before him.
Okay. So, even though in Egypt, head of Pharaoh's house and head of Egypt, so this abuse disappeared. That's not how it works. It lived. Who was he also abused by before this? His brothers. 12 people. Sorry, he's one of the 12. 12 people abused him. First, 11 of his brothers, and yet he still says, It's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. So, who of us here, I know myself, being abused themselves, read stories about abuse. Few who can still acquire the love of God to forgive. I don't want to say forget, because some that they committed the sin towards you. Don't forget that this person abused you. Don't forget that this person caused you pain, because if you do this, you would be foolish. And you would just allow it to happen over and over and over again. Does this make sense? Remember to be wise in the way we deal with ourselves, thinking about your future. You feel as if you have no future, but still relying on God each and every day. Completed. Your mission wasn't, actually adds to your mission. Was the kingdom foundation builder. When he went to the land that God told him to go to, what happened? Happened when he went to preach the gospel, the word. Did they beat him? Yes. Did they? Every single person. And he would have symptoms of depression. Us who feel that we have depression, I don't know. Symptoms of depression, I don't know. When we go out of the house, we put on a happy face, like nothing happened. Let's be more real with each other, guys. We know we're not perfect. Perfect in front of you. It doesn't make any sense. It's our pride that keeps us from trying to get the help from one another.
Cursed be the day in which I was born, has been born to you, making him very glad. The shouting at noon. He did not kill me from the womb to see labor and sorrow.
Go and speak to Zedekiah, king of Judah, and tell him, Thus says the Lord, fire, and you shall not escape with you face to face, and you shall go to Babylon. This is that every man should set free his male, that everyone should set free his male and female slaves, and brought them into subjection as male and female slaves. Therefore, covenant with your fathers in the day that And when he has served you 6 years, you shall lend my sight, every man proclaiming liberty to his neighbor. And you made a slaves whom you have set at liberty at their pleasure, and brought them back into subjection to liberty, every one to his brother, and every one among all the kingdoms of the earth.
Systematic rest. Says what? Or actually, this is not 29:11. This is the good that he accomplished, but yet still nobody. The only way is for him to, with his problems, work. Don't say, oh, I have God, so I don't have depression. No. God gives you crosses that forever. Never left them. So us, if we have symptoms, or if we have depression, let's remember Jeremiah. Make sense? His heart was still after God. So, Armia?
Yeah. Um, 37, right?
No. 2 Samuel 11, 2 through 5.
What's on there? What is it, 2 Samuel?
2 Samuel 11, 2 through 5. Correct.
And David brought up the men who were with him, every man for his household, so they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. Then the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, the men of Jabesh Gilead were the ones who buried Saul. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said to them, you are blessed of the Lord, for you have shown this kindness to your Lord, to Saul, and have buried him.
And also 14 through 17, please.
Then Abner said to
Is it 2 Samuel 11, 14 through?
2 Samuel 11, 14 through 17. Correct.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Chapter 11.
Yeah, I got it, yeah. My bad.
No, I'm sorry if that.
Yeah, that's okay. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Job and sent it with Uriah. In it, he wrote, put Uriah out in the front where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him, so he will be struck down and die. So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. However, Uriah the Hittite died.
Hittite. Was that it?
Yeah. Is that it? 14 to 17.
Okay, maybe I have it wrong. Can you read to the, well, okay, I'll just tell you. Okay.
I'll read it.
I mean,
no, I can read it if you want.
It's okay, it's alright.
I can read it.
Thank you, it's okay, it's alright. It's okay. So, we all know that he sent Uriah out to the front of battle, where it was the most fiercest. Because he thought his wife was pretty cute. Right? Say bluntly, his wife was pretty cute, and he wanted her. Okay? So what did he do? He took they were friends. They were great friends. He was the best in his army. Killed him, took his wife. Or actually the opposite. But, you understand.
Still goes on today.
So, for those of us, this is going to get kind of deep. Please, especially with this, I do not want to see any smirks. I do not want to see any laughing. Please, if you do, I'm sorry, this is a big thing for me. If you do, please go outside. Today's day and age, this, boys like no other, are very lustful. Many girls like no other are very lustful. And this is what lust can do. Right? We never think about it. But this is what lust can cause ourselves. Because we don't want to be in this predicament. Because of this, for the rest of his life, yes, he got forgiveness. But for the rest of his life, his sons chased after him. They wanted to kill him. He was on the run until the day he died. And we may not be on the run in a physical form like he was, but we will definitely be on the run for a long time after, by the grace of God, we solve this problem. As it will continue with us. But the Lord used David still, as we just mentioned. Bishoy? Or, I'm sorry, Paul first.
So David said to Nathan, I've sinned against the Lord. Nathan said to David, the Lord also has put away your sins. You shall not die. Verse 24.
Yes,
Then David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and he went into her and laid with her. So he bore a son, and he called his name Solomon. Now the Lord loved him.
You know, I was always confused. Why would God give Bathsheba to David after all this? There's the problem. Why would you put them together in the end? I mean, it makes sense, right? But God uses our falls. God uses our struggles, as we've been talking about since the beginning and to the end. He uses our struggles for our benefit. He doesn't get rid of our struggles. He uses them.
So what happened to the son though? She got pregnant, right?
So, of course, we know the first son of the sin, there was a punishment. The punishment was death. The second son, though.
No, the first son. So why couldn't she abort him?
Abort?
Get rid of him? Or David? Why didn't they get rid of that bad son? He's the son of sin, right? I just want to see if you want to capture that little bit of detail there.
Well, they didn't have to abort. They didn't have to because God aborted it for them.
So how did David feel about it when that happened?
Of course, they were very sad. But David understood. After Samuel came, David understood, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I did something wrong. Yeah, I deserve being sad for the rest of their lives about it. Actually, they probably were. But they understood. You do something wrong, not in the next life. Thank you so much, Ryan.
No problem.
After this, though, when he did, what blessing did God give him? Who was his other son? Who's this one? Who's this guy? Who's that? Do you know?
Solomon.
There we go. That is Solomon. And we know that he had many other sons, many other daughters, but the ones that we know about the most are Solomon, Absalom, and the one that died. Okay? So this is what true repentance looks like. Not being sad in the moment. God doesn't want you sad in the moment. That does nothing. I'm talking to myself. I don't mean to be yelling at you. I'm yelling at myself as well. Forgive me. I'm the first. But work on it. That's how God will know that you are true. Just as He worked on you. Elijah the powerful. Now this is an easy one. We all know Elijah was powerful. Are we okay on time?
What do you need? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
Okay, well, because of this, because of the time delay, instead of reading the verses, let's just talk about it. Okay? So, thank you. I don't need that anymore. So, Elijah, this is a big one. Elijah had suicidal thoughts. When did this happen? He was running. He got tired. And he gave up for a moment. He sat under a tree and he said, God, take my life because they are coming to kill me. So you just take it before they come and do it. Is that not what happened? That is what happened. But what did God say?
No.
Yes, in a way. I'm gonna make it a little bit more dramatic. I'm gonna make it more dramatic. He said, rest, eat, drink. Like when he woke up, he found the substance that he needed next to him, given by the angel. But that wasn't it. God said, man, get up and finish your work. Get up and finish what you started. This is a setback, but this isn't, I decide that. So let's remember, if we have ever, or if we know about someone, I'm sure we know about someone. I mean, we see the committees and the marashi'i that are specifically designed for suicidal help, correct? So let's help if we can. Or, if it's in here, let's help ourselves. And so God still used Elijah. Again, before and after. A suicidal tendency man still had enough power by the grace of God to raise a girl from the dead, to bring down fire to consume the offering, which, by the way, we know during that consummation of offering, he was being judged. He was being mocked. And, in a way, he kind of decided to play along in their game. He said, okay, why don't you bring down your God to do it? Where's your God? And he showed that his God is the true God. Our God is the true God that can bring down fire to the offering, and that can bring down fire into our hearts and into our minds to be able to get past this struggle if we have it. We're almost done, I promise. Peter is known as the rock and keeper of the keys of heaven. But what did Peter fall into? Denial. Not only denying Christ, denying what he did for 3 years. In one day, he lost it all. We find ourselves giving up. One day, we find ourselves saying, no, I can't do it. Why did I even start 10 years ago? Why did I even start 20 years ago? I'm not doing this. Right? We do that sometimes. But we need to know that either we can keep down in the shadows, or this can happen. God used Peter, and he can use me too. He can use you too. Remember, I told you at the beginning, please think about your struggles as we go through this. Here, he converted many people in one day. One day, one sermon. That's a miracle. That's the complete opposite of denying Christ. And that wasn't that short of a time between the two. It was the power of God in him. It was the knowledge that he made a mistake, but that wasn't the end. And he was also able to raise, I'm sure, many. However, this girl from the dead. What kind of a denying Christian can do that? I've never seen any. Rahab the faithful. Now this one's easy. We know Rahab. We know who she is. She was a prostitute. But the Bible doesn't say much about her. But history tells us two things about her. Number one, she bore multiple children by multiple men. Number two, she did many sexual acts to get money to support herself. She needed money, and that was a good way to her. So she did it. That was her job. But still, God said that's not enough. This is my last slide. After this one, I have one more slide, and then we're done. So, God still used her. Yes, you're a prostitute. Yes, you slept with so many men. Yes, you have so many children that you probably don't even know about. But God gave her a chance, and she took it. She took it. So let's take it too. The spies came to her door, and what happened? I'm sorry, I thought? She hid them. Bravo, Yarehad. Bravo. She hid them on God's command. And it says in Joshua many times, and also James mentions it in his book. He says what? And this act was counted to her as righteousness. This act was counted to her as righteousness. This act alone saved her. Or at least was the forefront of her salvation. So, So God used all of these people. I don't think he stopped. Did he stop? No. He's still using us too. God can use you too. This is what I meant by remember your struggle. Each and every day, if you need to take notes before you go to bed, in the morning, whatever you got to do to remember that you can end up like them. And it's not going to go away. It's not like these issues are going to go away. But also remember, sometimes we're a little too harsh on ourselves. Sometimes we think that we have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect. That's not what He called us to do. He called us to be the best we can be through His grace. Because we have to remember, we're not the message. What are we? The messengers. We are the messengers. We are not the message. So the message has to be perfect. And He is perfect. The messengers have to strive to be perfect. So, realistically, you can't achieve everything. I know it feels like I'm like knocking this after like I spent the whole time building it up. Anyways, I'm not. But realistically, you can't achieve everything. Is that true or is that not true? True. God gave us talents. We can't say, oh, He gave me one seed, so I'm going to build another Empire State Building. No. Like that, it doesn't work that way. God gave each his talent for his or her own use. But the thing that's cool about it is the one talent, if he brings back 2, the 2 talent, if he brings back 4, the 4 talent, if he brings back 8, that's not it, is it? But they did good. They did well. The 8 was not better than the 2. Because they did what God told them to do. So, this isn't written in the Bible anywhere, so forgive me. But a lot of the times we look at people and we say, oh, they've got a better job. Oh, they've got a better house. They've got a better car. I've done it, and I know you've all done it. No secret. But let's remember at these times, what was Christ? When Christ came to earth, weren't there doctors? Weren't there lawyers? But what did Christ become? And I understand that it was because his earthly father Joseph was, and they take after their father, but I believe that he had a second reason why. So what was he? He was a carpenter. You are on point. Good dreams to everyone. No, I'm kidding. Forgive me. I didn't mean.
Teacher.
But yes.
He's a teacher.
I'm sorry?
He's a teacher.
Yes.
Carpenter like his father, teacher.
Yes, but his profession was carpentry.
Yeah.
He took on this teaching or evangelizing from 30 to 33, and that was it. But before that, all he did is carpentry. That's it. And I believe he has a message for us. Why? He has a message that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, a garbage man. If you do it to the glory of the one who made you, you are a winner. The doctor who sees 1 million patients gets $1 million, but does it all for themselves. Themselves. The one who picks up trash and gets let's say a very low number, $5 a day. Okay?
That's illegal.
I know. Just take me in this point, okay? I don't know business, I don't know all this kind of stuff, and I wasn't trying to be legal or not legal. But you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Thank you, Kat. But you understand. You know, this man who makes $1 million, this man who makes 5, if he's doing it for the glory of the one who made him, and he's doing it for himself and his family and to get a bigger car, to get a bigger house, who's the winner? I would like somebody to respond because this is my last question.
The mailman.
Who's the
I
winner?
would say the garbage man.
The garbage man. The garbage man.
Teach them.
So, I understand, forgive me, I understand that we're Middle Eastern, and we love when our kids become doctors. We love when our kids become lawyers. We love when our kids become these great things.
What about engineers?
Sorry? But
Engineers.
engineers, yes, of course. Of course. However, we're almost done. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done.
You gotta wrap it up, bro.
Yes. So, doctors, on our kids becoming lawyers, on our kids becoming engineers. Because what happens if they go out and become those things, and then they forget about the church, and then they forget about the one who gave it to them. But yet, because struggle is what brings us closer. Struggle is what reminds us of God. But yet, if they become a trash man or woman, they're not going to forget God. It's going to be a lot harder because they're going through struggles day and night. They don't know how to survive. So all they rely on is God. So that's it. Thank you so much. But please, let's go home and let's remember this. Let's all remember this and let's take it to heart each and every.